Thursday, everyone. If I look exhausted, it's because I am exhausted. But right now, Kelsey is having a picnic outside because she has been a very hard-working girl. We just got home and she worked hard right up until we got home. I am just not coherent enough. I do not have the coherence or spoons to vlog right now. I do not have the coherence or spoons to vlog right now. If you're not sure what I mean by spoons, I have a link to the spoon theory in my description. I do want to show a real face of chronic illness, and so I do want to show what it looks like, but right now I'm so exhausted and I'm really struggling with putting sentences together right now. I have been resting for a little while now, and I feel like I can maybe vlog for a little bit again. I know my previous video clips may have been a little hard to follow or understand, but I wanted to include them in my final vlog because I feel like they are an important part of portraying what it's like to live with a chronic illness. But that's part of why I want to document this, because I do want to show kind of what it's like, at least to the extent that I possibly can. And you can see the physical evidence that I'm tired even though I've been resting. You can see how red my cheeks are. I have rosacea that appears when I am tired or when my body thinks it's tired. You know, I might have gotten 8 hours of sleep, but my body thinks it's tired, and so it'll give me this redness on my cheeks. And that is my body's way of telling the entire world that I'm tired. And so you can see just how exhausted I am based on the color of my cheeks right now. And when I'm exhausted, my brain just kind of turns to mush. I get brain fog, I space out, I can't form complete thoughts or sentences. And I think it's important to include these kind of more spacey moments because they are a part of my reality, and they are a part of what living with fibromyalgia is, at least in my case, because of course everyone's experience with fibromyalgia is unique to them. I think it's important to show my own portrait of life with chronic illness and what it's like. You know, sometimes it can be coherent or put together, but sometimes it's going to be a little bit slower like this, and my processing time will be significantly slower. I mentioned in one of the earlier clips that Kelsey had worked hard this evening, and that's why we had a picnic outside even though I was tired. But I was too tired at the time to go into detail of how Kelsey had worked hard. And I think from the way that I phrased it, it sounded like maybe she had been working all day and that's why she deserved a picnic. But more of her hard work came from my appreciation of what she was doing for me, because I was relying on her 100%. We had just come from a puppy play date that had lasted multiple hours, and so Kelsey had gotten lots of time off and she was probably feeling pretty good. But I was fading really, really fast. I had been feeling pretty good, and then I had started to head home and I just started dropping off really, really fast. And what kind of added to this exhaustion, this tiredness that I was feeling, was that when I was passing the green with Kelsey on my way to pick up dinner and head home, there were a lot of people and they were kind of exiting the green because there had been some kind of event or concert. I'm not really sure what. And so that was just getting a little bit overwhelming for me. Kelsey on her Instagram account has talked about how the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala can kind of contribute to my hypervigilance and why that's exacerbated when I'm tired. I have a link to that post in my description. Just all the people present, having all those people present was really overwhelming to me, and I was getting overwhelmed and overtired and overstimulated really, really fast. And so once I picked up dinner, it was getting way too much for me. I noticed I was paying far too much attention to the people around me, and so even though I normally let Kelsey just be on or off leash home but not working, because I like to let her get into kind of the mindset of home, and since it's going downhill, it's easier on my body walking home, and so I can generally let her kind of take it easy and be off duty when we're walking home downhill. But tonight I felt a little bit bad that I wasn't able to give her her normal kind of sniff walk home because I was just not feeling great and not able to process things fast enough, and yet somehow my brain was also in hyperdrive because I was super vigilant about everything. So it was this kind of like mental slowness, but also like overstimulation, if that makes any kind of sense. And so I tossed on her harness and I put sunglasses on. Not in that I was trying to fake being blind or visually impaired, but in the sense that I was going to close my eyes, and it looks a little bit strange for someone to be walking along with their eyes closed. I don't know. I think it's probably just a social anxiety thing for me that I think people will think it's weird or judge me, and so I just threw sunglasses on so that people couldn't see whether my eyes were open or not. And you may be wondering, why did I decide to close my eyes? What's the point of that? And for me, that's kind of taking away one of my senses, and so it's a way to become like not as overly stimulated. So one way to do that is to wear noise canceling headphones, but I wasn't able to do that. And so instead I took away sight. I took away the sight of all the people that were around me and everything that was going on, because my brain just wasn't able to process everything in my environment quickly enough for me. And that was leading to kind of overstimulation and potentially panic. And so it was just easier for me to just black that out. And so essentially what I asked Kelsey to do was to guide me home, because I had my eyes closed. She actually didn't have a proper guide handle on her vest at the time. She had a paracord pull strap, which can be used for kind of rough guiding, but if you've ever seen working programmed guide dogs, they always have those stiff handles, and that's because a stiff handle, a rigid handle, gives you better feedback. The paracord pull strap worked well enough, it did the job, what I needed it to do for the time being. At the same time, I was also trying to work on Kelsey. Goodness. I was trying to work with Kelsey. I had her in a gentle leader all throughout today because she's going through a phase where she kind of fixates on other dogs, and so I was working on redirecting her attention to me. This connects because to why it was okay that I didn't have a rigid handle, because at the end of the day, I can still give myself sight back if I need to. And so, for example, I heard the jingle of dog tags, or what sounded like dog tags, and so I opened my eyes, and sure enough, it was a dog walking towards us. And so I used that opportunity to keep my eyes open, stop and work with Kelsey to have her focus on me while the other dog passed. Most of what we were doing were just straight lines, especially walking downhill. It was just a straight shot home, and so I didn't need much finesse, as much as, theoretically doing guide work with her. I would prefer to have the fine-tuned communication of a rigid handle the Paracord Handle worked just fine for what I needed, and she was able to lead me home safe and sound. That's why we had a picnic, because I was so grateful for Kelsey for leading me safely home and for letting me rely almost 100% on her ability to take care of me, because, with my eyes closed, I had to trust her. And even though I could have kept my eyes open, it would have been a lot harder on me. I could have become overwhelmed, had a panic attack, or just had my fatigue get so bad from being so overwhelmed that I've gotten stranded from fatigue and I just have to wait until I regain spoons. So I am just infinitely grateful that Kelsey was able to take me home safely. I am so grateful to have this dog in my life. And there are definitely times when, a lot of the time actually, when I question my need for a service dog, and I'm sure other people, not even just strangers, probably other people in my life question it too. It's nights like tonight, evenings like this evening, where I'm reminded of just how much I can rely on Kelsey and just how much of a difference she does make in my life and what she does do for me. Because sometimes when I'm having, a healthier day, it can be easy to fool myself that, maybe I'm just making an excuse to bring my dog everywhere. Maybe I don't actually need her, but she does make a difference. And sometimes, like this evening, my need for her can come completely out of the blue because I had been having a pretty good health day, to be honest, and just the spoonlessness just hit me out of the blue, and I was fading so fast. And that's why I have her, because I can't always predict when I'm going to need her. It's also just now occurring to me to mention that, or to remind everyone that service dogs are not robots. They are not perfect 100% of the time, just like humans are not perfect 100% of the time. And so even the best trained service dog does need some fine-tuning. That's why Assistance Dogs International, ADI, requires its programs to recertify their service dogs annually, because they recognize that dogs aren't perfect and they get rusty and their skills get rusty and problems can come up. Kelsey has always been great keeping her focused. She's been great around other dogs, but for whatever reason, recently she's just become more fixated on other dogs, and so we're just working on getting her focus back. And that's why training is an ongoing process, and that's why almost all reputable programs will have kind of recertifications or check-ins or, visits back to the campus, whatever they want to call it, because if you know dogs, then you know that they're not going to be perfect. They're not robots. And on any given day, they can be off, and any skill they can lose. And so right now, this is what Kelsey and I are working on, and it's okay. And it's okay to admit that, sometimes we have little slip-ups, considering the fact that, there were tons of people around, considering the fact that she took me home despite all the distraction. I mean, that's a testament to her. That's a testament to her training, and that's a testament to just what a wonderful service dog she is. Even though there's this thing to tweak, I mean, she is still incredible, and she can still do her job pretty much flawlessly and take care of me. Flawless queen, she's just hanging out on her bed right now. And since I am still pretty spoonless and am feeling still pretty exhausted and I'm fading pretty fast, I think Kelsey and I are going to say goodnight and thank you for following our adventures. Kels, say goodbye to the people.